Number 4, make it fun. Arts organizations believe, or actually it's not just arts organizations, organizations built for good, believe that if they do something good, that people will be naturally drawn to it. That actually is not really true. Some people will, but it's not in enough numbers that really make it, that really make it work. So you need to make it fun. And it's why things like American Idol work, because people get to participate, but it's sort of fun to vote, right? It's fun to participate. It's fun to do things where you feel like you have an influence on it. The Guardian newspaper, about a year, last summer, there was a big scandal in Parliament over expense reports, and suddenly the Parliament dumped almost 500,000 documents, expense reports. And the Guardian, which is a smaller paper than some of its competitors, decided that if they went through, tried to write stories in a regular way, the reporters would have been Christmas until by the time they were able to do it. So what they did was they threw all the documents up online, and they asked their readers to sort through all the documents and tell them what was there. Now, this is a social good, right? This is a good thing, and you can motivate people for doing that, but that's not why it worked. The reason it worked was they made a game out of it, right? They had 3 categories that you could do. You could punch one button, it said, oh, this is really boring, there's nothing here. 2, red alarm, red alert, this is really the smoking gun. And number 3 is, I'm not quite sure, but this could be something worth checking out. Now, you know those kids in video arcades, and they spend for hours and hours and hours, and what is it, in the video games, what is it they're trying to do? The reward at the end is they get to put their 3 initials, right, at the top score. Look at what these guys did. Top users by line items added. Mr. GDW, whoever that is, went through 2,859 documents just for the value of being able to get his name at the top of the list. And within a couple of weeks, they'd gone through all of the documents, and they started writing stories, and they beat everybody else on the story in a way that they couldn't have done. It would not have been possible unless they made it fun. This is an admin interface for WordPress blogging platform. The very first plugin that they wrote for WordPress is a plugin called Hello Dolly. And you know what a plugin is? A plugin is a little piece of programming that allows your program to do something. It's a function that it does. This one, its only function was when you logged in, every time you logged in, up at the top here, a line from the song Hello Dolly comes up. We feel the room swaying. Right? It's a silly little thing, but it makes it fun. I can guarantee you every time I log into my WordPress installation, the first thing I look at is what line from Hello Dolly is it going to be? The developer, the guy who runs WordPress, says that they're trying to build in all sorts of games in to make it more fun. So he says, it's really hard to come up with a blog post. So we're looking in this thing where we'll have hundreds of different videos, and so when you hit that publish thing, maybe one time video come up and somebody be clapping like this, way to go, right? They want to make it fun. They want to make it so that it reinforces that whatever you're doing, there's some sort of interaction for you. Number 5, give up some control to get more influence. This is a really tough one. I was setting up, a few years ago, I set up a blog, an audience blog, for an organization in Seattle. And they weren't getting a whole lot of press, but they were a really good organization. And I said, look, your audience is not going to the newspaper to get information about you. You have to develop your own culture, right? So you have really interesting people in your audience, so why not ask them to review your shows for you on your site? Well, the first thing, of course, they said was, well, what if they say mean things about us? I said, well, you don't think they're saying mean things about you right now? Right? You know that they are. But what happens is if they go home and they didn't like something, what are they doing? They're telling their friends, and they're saying things about you, but you don't have any way of being able to tell what that is. You're probably not going to see them again, and if you don't see them again, it means you can't have a relationship with them. So why not give them a place where they could actually go online and complain about you? In a place where, when you see it, you can answer them, or you can at least see what they think. Any good salesman knows that some of your best customers come to you first with a complaint. And if you just pay attention to them, if you just answer them in somehow, they can be your best customer, right? So if you can smoke out that criticism or that complaint or that failure and make it public and build a community around that that not only embraces the idea that failure is part of the equation, or that doing something not right is part of the equation, you end up having a much stronger community. It seems like it's really one of the biggest issues for arts organizations is giving up control. Everybody wants to have that control. But the reality is that if you give up some control and you build a community around it, you end up having more influence within that community and beyond that community than if you're secretive and you control every aspect of what it is that you do. Right? So, you know, if you're thinking about, okay, so we want to go out and get an audience. In the old days, you could go and talk to person by person by person by person. You can't reach enough people that way, right? So what we did was we talked to the newspapers, and the newspaper had these audiences of all of these people. And so the newspaper people, the critics, became really important to us because we wanted them because they talked to a lot of people. Right? Now, everybody has the ability to talk to as many people as that newspaper did. You think really that of the 500,000 people who read the daily newspaper, that all 500,000 people were reading about that one story about your arts organization? No. There's probably a couple of thousand people. That's not out of line for what some of these bloggers, some of these people who are really into this have. So we want to identify those people. And what social networking is all about is being able to get to the people who travel in virtual packs. And we want to aggregate them together and have them working together in a way that activates them as part of our community. So, just to put this another way, 5 keys to success in the attention economy. Transparency makes you lovable. Failure is an opportunity. Don't just add noise. Relationships matter, not just selling tickets. And give up some control to get more influence. So, anyway, that's what I have to say today, and thank you so much for coming.